If you're into game development, you've heard of the term game jam. It's not about real jam, it's about game developers trying to make a game on a certain amount of time based on a theme. The time range is arbitrary and it depends on a jam. You can have a jam that lasts a few days, some last 1 or 2 weeks, and 1700 years? There are jams for everyone. I participated in a game jam myself before, but the game is so bad I ignored its existence. Okay, but why am I talking about game jams? Because I just participated in another one. That's right. For a while now, I wanted to make a game with a time limit. Why, you ask? I don't know. I've also gained this interest in 3D platformers. I mostly blame that on Astro Bot, Sonic Shadow Generations, and maybe a little Penny's Big Breakaway. But after watching gameplay of all these great games, I wanted to make my own 3D platformer, so I decided I should make one in a week. I just needed a free week for that. Fast forward a few months later, and this video shows up on my feed, the Coco Code's first ever game jam. Coco Code is this game development tutorial channel. They have some pretty cool videos I recommend checking out. And this jam lasted 1 week, just like my plan. The stars aligned, and this was a sign. I must make a 3D platformer for this game jam regardless of the theme. Is it smart to enter a game jam and restrain myself to a genre? Well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, that's enough chit-chatting. Here's how I created a 3D platformer in a single week. The first thing is to check the theme of the game jam. There was a vote between 3 teams being Poison, Music Notes, and Coconuts. The channel is called Coco Code, and the image of the channel is literally a coconut. So for sure the coconut theme will win. I mean, I don't see a world where the coconut theme is... that's just great. But the theme isn't what's important right now, because I have to make a 3D platformer anyways. So it's time to hop on Unity and make the basics. I'll deal with the theme later. The first thing to take care of is the character movement, because that's the most important part of any platformer. You need a character that's fun to play with if you want a good platformer. So I tried to make one. Then I tried again. I started with movement and jumping, but that wasn't very complex for a platformer. Of course I'm not gonna make a movement set with 10 jumps, grab on edges, gliding, ultra dash combo, because I have no idea how to code that. So I just settled on a small dash. And even the dash is poorly coded. That's the basic moveset of the character, jump and dash. It doesn't need to be too complex because it's a week-long jam. Also, the camera collides with objects. It was my first time doing that. After that, I did something unusual for me. I worked on the art. Specifically, I made the character's model. Why do I say that's unusual? Because usually I make the functional parts of the game first, but this time I decided to make it different. Since the theme is Poison, I thought the character could be some person with a gas mask and one of those yellow suits. As you can see, I kinda struggled to make the character look the right way when moving, but after a few fixes and the new model, it was looking better. Oh, and what's that tank on the character's back? Well, it's a surprise tool that will help us later. Next, I worked on the character's animations, which went pretty smoothly actually. Rigging and animating the character wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, and it's also good practice for when I have to model the characters for my main game. By the way, you should definitely watch the devlogs of that game. I did the animations for idle, running, jumping, dashing, and falling. The basic ones. I also gave the character a gun. And what's the gun for, you ask? Well, it's a surprise tool. With all the animations done, I wrapped up day 1 and went to sleep. Day 2 started, and the first thing I did was not be home for half of the day. But when I came back home, I started working on gameplay mechanics because, well, a guy jumping and running around isn't exactly good gameplay. I did the most basic thing ever for a platformer, a trampoline, and there were some issues at first, such as jumping really high and jumping really low. Yeah, these were 2 issues that were happening at the same time. Honestly, I think I deserve an award for unintentionally making 2 bugs that contradict each other. But with that fixed, I decided to work on the enemies. I didn't have models at the time, so pretend this red cube is an enemy. And the way to kill this enemy is very simple. You jump on it. Very unique, I know. I'm an innovation genius. But that would be very hard to pull off when there are many enemies, so I added a way for the player to shoot. Yeah, remember the tank and the gun? They're useful now, but I needed to add some cooldown to the gun. My idea is to follow Astrobot's footsteps with the enemy system. All enemies die with 1 hit, but so do you. So jumping on the enemies once is enough to kill them, but so is shooting them once. And it's satisfying to kill a bunch of enemies grouped up. I made a poison ground thing that would kill the player when touched, and made it so the player shoots water. Because here's the premise of the game. You shoot water or poison enemies to kill them, and every level you have to kill a certain amount to win. As the game is a 3D platformer, it'll need a hub, a place where you can access all levels of the game. I tried to make one, but it wasn't going very well, and it was late at night, so I decided to go to sleep. And sleep does wonders, because I came back and made an actual good hub. Okay, it's not good, but it's much better than it was before. I had some moving platforms, and I sketched out where I wanted the portals for the levels to be. There were 4 in total. I continued to develop the hub by adding some decoration and other places to go that I didn't really know what to do with. Really, I was only wasting time here because I didn't want to tackle level design, but I had to if I wanted to make the game. So I attempted to make a level, and sure enough, it was fun to jump around and kill the enemies, but there was something missing. So I restarted the levels design, and this time it went a little better. But that's pretty much all I did on day 3. I didn't make a lot of progress. Day 4 was the exact opposite of day 3. I actually made a lot of progress. I didn't even realize how much progress I had done until I watched the footage for this video. In this day, I finished the first level, I made enemies attack the player with model and animations, I made levels go functional, as well as a ranking system for the level, and collectibles. But that's a lot, so let's look at it one by one. Before finishing the level, I decided to place enemies around, but you probably remember that they were just lifeless cubes that did nothing? Well, now they're lifeless cubes that do something. Sometimes. I gave them a brand new model, definitely not reused or anything, and an animation, and now they actually work. So I finished the level and placed the enemies all around. You might remember that the goal was to kill a certain amount of enemies, so I made it so that you have to kill 70% of the total enemies in the level in order to clear it. Speaking of which, I added a ranking system into the game. This is mostly inspired by Sonic Generations, where you get a higher rank the faster you complete a level. In this case, it's not about speed, it's about how many enemies you kill and how many times you die. The more enemies you kill and the fewer times you die, the higher your rank. And if you don't kill the minimum enemies, you automatically get an F rank. The other ranks are the standard D, C, B, A, and S, with D being the lowest and S being the highest. After this, I decided to add collectibles. Every 3D platformer has them in any way, shape, or form. These little things that you get obsessed with getting. So I made the collectibles of my game Big Ears, and placed 5 of them around the level. Once you get them, they're permanently obtained, and you don't have to get them again when restarting the level. They don't really serve any purpose, but it's fun to look for them. And with that, day 4 was over. On day 5, I added the door that takes you to the level, and displays your highest rank, the amount of enemies you need to kill to complete the level, and the collectibles. I also added flags for readability. These appear outside the level entrance, and there were 4 colors that you could get: green, blue, red, and yellow. The flags were an indicator of your performance on the level. Green flag for clearing the level, blue flag for getting S rank, purple flag for getting S rank and all collectibles, and yellow flag for doing all of that, killing all the enemies and not dying once. I also added checkpoints to the level. After this, I decided to add coins to the game. I knew I probably wouldn't have a use for them, but I added them to guide the player in the level so that the player knows the path to the end a little bit better. Oh, and don't mind these guys, they're not finished yet. I added the coins to the level and the hub, and it was fun collecting them. This is me just collecting the coins from the hub. So level 1 is fully done. This means that it's time to move to level 2, and this one is more unique. I added a whole new mechanic specifically for the level, as many platformers do. This mechanic is simple. If you shoot a certain object, a certain wall will disappear or appear. Like this, it doesn't look very good, so let me just... yeah, that's better. Now it's more obvious what you have to do. I didn't do much on this level before going to sleep, I just mostly did the main mechanic. Day 6 was mostly exclusive to making this level. Besides the death animation, I didn't do anything other than working on the level. I attempted to expand the mechanic with stuff like multiple paths, more complex puzzles, and an automatic water shooter that you can control. I'm not gonna go into too much detail of the level, mostly because this video is already getting too long. But if you're interested, you can play the game for free on itch.io, and you can play it on your browser, so you don't need to download a virus. I guess you could say that would poison your computer.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
that was day 6. This was the last day, and I added a lot of stuff. I added post-processing to make the game look better, and if you can't tell the difference, here's on and off. I added a sound effect for the coins that turned out to be too annoying, as well as the sound effects for shooting, jumping, dashing, using the trampoline, and getting a collectible. I made a death animation for the enemies. I made it so that the flags of the levels were independent. This means that you could have all of them at the same time. I added NPCs and a dialogue system and a way to check the controls of the game. I also added a main menu and a pause menu. And lastly, I added music, which is not made by me because I don't know how to make music. So thanks to Aim to Add Official for this music. Oh, and I gave a name to the game, Hazmania, because its character in hazmat suits, and Mania because... Mania. And that's the whole game. I submitted my project to the jam, and that was it. I had successfully made a 3D platformer within a week. And honestly, I really liked the game I made. It was fun to play in my opinion, and it was something rather new to me. And that's the point of a game jam. To learn and grow as a developer. But you guys don't care about any of that. All I care about is my placement in the jam. So after a week of voting and rating other pretty cool games, I got 34th place. Yeah, not the greatest placement. I definitely didn't deserve top 5 or something, but I feel like I deserved a bit higher. But anyways, it's still better than my previous gem, and for all effects, I did place top 20%. Thank you so much for watching this video. It was definitely different from my other ones, but I wanted to try something new. If you enjoyed the video, it would really mean a lot to me if you dropped a like and subscribe, as it will help the video reach more people. And if the game looks interesting to you, you can play Hazmania as well as my other games for free on itch.io. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.